Dude, every time I saw Julia Fox, I kept thinking about Marlon Wayans in his white chicks makeup. Hey guys, welcome to my Him movie review, which I will be keeping spoiler free. So let's review the movie and go over the good and the bad, because this really could have been a freaking great movie, dude. But it's just something happened and no spoilers, yeah. And rate it using my super advanced formula for my 5-star rating system. I know, it's freaking impressive. And dude, I was excited to see this ever since I saw the trailer for Him, because this movie looked unsettling. Yeah, and this is horror and football, and about that, there will be a bit of a niche audience, because I even heard some people leaving the early screening saying, I don't think this movie was supposed to be for me. But just know that I am a huge football fan. I watch every play of my team every season. Fantasy leagues, everything, dude. And I love horror. So I am basically the target audience for this film. And I can tell you, Him, it starts great, yes. Tyriq Withers plays Cam, who's like the big next star coming into the league. Marlon Wayans plays like the greatest of all time. And he's got a ton of championships, but he's getting older. And he takes the new guy under his wing and he trains him in his compound. And it's kind of like a twisted and dark Rocky, which I love, because shit gets weird. And listen, all the actors are great here. Even though Julia Fox, her acting was great. Just the look she had. I mean, I giggled every time I looked at her, because all I thought about was like Marlon Wayans. And considering the movie we were watching, I could have seen her character like rip out the skin. It's like, oh, there's Marlon Wayans. He's like, surprise. Yeah, that totally would have fit in this movie. It was like that. But speaking of Marlon Wayans, dude, he is awesome in this. And you can tell he is enjoying this role. Like, he is like chewing on the script, dude. He's like loving this. I'm glad to see this kind of range, and I hope I see him take on more roles like this, because, man, he's a solid actor. Speaking of solid, dude, the first act in this movie, wow. I was like thinking about like Sinners, Weapons, and now this, and I'm like, this is going to be a real special film too. Tons of layers, mysterious, interesting characters. And everything seems cool, but you know something's up. And I was eating this up, because it even reminds me of my favorite football movie of all time, Any Given Sunday. It had that kind of weird thing where they do these little moments, and I loved it. There were moments of symbolism, and it definitely worked. And they do go over a lot here with symbolism and exploring a lot of interesting things, like where we come from, what makes us, the pursuit of greatness and the sacrifice that comes with it, an icon dealing with their mortality, the brutality of football, CTE, and head injuries. There's so much here, so many messages, so many layers, all interesting, all important. Even though some of it was a bit on the nose, but I didn't mind, it worked. Till later in the film. You see, what had happened was, this was a really interesting story. Our characters, their journey, their relationships they're building with each other. And there was some out-of-place stuff, but I was okay with it. This isn't a spoiler. But Cam is in a dark hallway, and suddenly, boom, all these reporters come up and start taking pictures of him. And this guy goes behind him and puts a plastic bag over his mouth, and he can't breathe. And all of a sudden, they're all gone. He's back in the dark hallway. No one's there. And then we just go on with the story. Yes, the press can be suffocating. Obviously, that's the message. And that was good with these little things just happening, and just let's move on with the story. But then something started to happen at the halfway point going into the third act. The symbolism did get weirder, which is fine. I mean, Jordan Peele produced this, and just so you know the symbolism here, it didn't get like us weird, where you're like, what am I even watching? No, you still understood the messages here, so that's good. But the problem is the symbolism started to become more important than the story, where it's like, here's a story, here's a symbolism, and it starts doing this one. Yeah, like the story making sense didn't matter anymore. And I'm not saying the story took a back seat to the symbolism. No, it's more like the symbolism opened the car door, kicked out the story, freaking while the car was driving, and the symbolism hit the gas and let that shit go. Yeah, that was gone, bro. Like, it's like, what story? Yeah. And it's hard to care about these characters going into a third act when the characters and the storytelling didn't matter anymore. What's real? What's not real? I was like, who cares? No detail. The big third act reminded me of something out of Midsummer, which was an excellent film, but with football and a vibe of a high school play third act, but a really shitty one. Yeah, dude, I haven't seen a movie just go off the rails like this in a long time. To put it in football terms, Watching this movie is like watching a beautiful 10-play drive that was 90 yards. You're about to score. The guy fumbles the ball. The other team picks it up, runs it back the other way for the touchdown. Now the guy that fumbled the ball runs back there, takes off his helmet, poops in it, puts the helmet back on, and starts dancing the Macarena while taking his clothes off on the 50-yard line. That's basically what this movie was. Yes. Still, Marlon Wayans was awesome in this. And White Chicks. Guys, what did you think of Him, the movie? Let me know in the comments. Also, please like, subscribe, and whatever to all the stuff that I have. And thanks for watching.